So should we discuss the Snowcat in the room? And that is, will the Snowcat Haslab actually fund? Well, yes, it's going to fund. The minimum 8,000 will get sold. I am not worried about that at all. But the thing is, when we look at this new Snowcat Haslab, we see we're a week and a half in, and it hasn't even made the minimum sales. When you're looking at the Hiss tank, you're looking at the Rattler. I mean, the Rattler in one day hit it. We were hitting tiers like day 2 or 3. And here we're wondering, will we even get the Lady J, let alone the Biovac and the Flint, right? And so that really got a lot of people wondering, what happened? Why did this Haslab fail? Now, it's not failing because I know it's going to, I know it's going to actually hit the 8,000, so it's going to succeed in terms of getting funded, but it's not having the same resonance, not having the same boom for the G.I. Joe brand that the other ones did. And, you know, I looked at this not from like a fan perspective, but I looked at this from a marketing perspective. Like, what did Hasbro do wrong, or what went wrong out there that kind of hurt the sales, that we don't have the buzz, that we're literally half the numbers that you have in a Rattler after a week and a half? And so what it came up was kind of like 4 different things that really impacted the success of this Haslab, like why it doesn't have the Rattler numbers or the Hiss numbers, okay? And I think the first thing you have to think about is, when we think about the last year, we have been talking about what's going to be the next Haslab. We've been talking about, is the Haslab going to be a Mobat or a Mauler? That was the debate, Mobat, Mauler, not what's it going to be. And so all of us had this idea that the tank is coming. And so this first thing that we had, the first mistake I see, or the first kind of reason why it's failing, is the idea of a bait and switch. A lot of people thought we're getting a tank, right? You know, you saw the Rattler and it had the patches. We all got the cool patches now, right? Well, my Rattler hasn't come yet, but I will have my patches. And on there, it has them blowing up a tank buster kind of thing. And we saw, you know, on some of the box art, things that alluded to the desert kind of things, like, oh, maybe there's a Mauler coming, right? And so everyone was super pumped for the Mauler. So that's all we've been talking about for the last year. And then all of a sudden, when you're thinking tank, and then it's a Snowcat, you're like, what? It's kind of like when you were a kid. You're thinking you're having pizza. We're going to have pizza. We're going to have pizza. We're going to have pizza. And then your mom says, we're going to McDonald's. She's like, oh. Well, yeah, I like McDonald's. I like my Happy Meal, but I was thinking pizza. And therefore, it takes a little bit to get you to kind of refocus on that. And then you had the rumors of the focus groups they talked to, and the focus groups were looking at, you know, the Mobat or Mauler. They were looking at the Thunder Machine. They were looking at the Snowcat. And it kind of came out that everybody kind of liked it, but the tanks were the ones that came to the top, and no one really kind of downplayed that. But that should have been like a sign that, hey, they're discussing Snowcat. They're discussing the Thunder Machine. So they're going to be coming eventually. They're just trying to decide which one's going to come out first. And so that's something that's really out there that really kind of played back, because really the vibe was all about a tank, not about something else. And so it's really hard to kind of get people and get that buzz for what we had for a tank for a completely different machine. And let's be honest, that Snowcat looks awesome. Like, I backed it the first time I saw it, like, oh, it's available. Boom, I went on there. I think it was like number 911, okay, like first day backing, because I thought it was really cool. I think if we look at this and see where they could have done better, I think it would have been better for them to kind of discuss, there were lots of options out there. There's a lot of things we're considering, and not letting the rumors run rampant, because sometimes those rumors kind of take a life of their own. And so that was why this bait and switch, we thought it was going to be a tank, and it's something else that's still very cool, but since we were thinking tank, it was really hard for us to start thinking about the Snowcat, okay? So that's the first kind of thing. The second thing I think is really kind of a, not as big of a one. Like, this isn't as big as people think it is, but honestly, I mean, it's a fantastic, I would put it this way, fantastic booming base model with uninspiring tiers. Like, you see you look at that Snowcat, it is amazing with all the stuff they have with it. Cool. I mean, yes, it could use some guns and maybe some more blast effects. I mean, I'm paying $325 and I get 2 blast effects. Give me a break, man. I got more blast effects with, you know, scrap iron. Like, give me a break, man. Like, come on, hook me up with some more stuff, you know. And also, like, you know, and you're like, oh, it's a troop carrier. Nah, not really. Like, you know, I need the missiles on there to really make it the Snowcat, right? So there are these kind of things, but I'll be honest with you, that base model, like, I was happy. I would pay $325 for that base model because I was a huge Snowcat fan. That was my favorite toy. That and the Ram were my 2 go-tos as a kid to play with, so that's why I really love it. But the thing is, I can see when you look at the tiers, sometimes the tiers inspire you. Like, for me, I didn't back the Dragonfly. Okay, I actually got the Dragonfly in the aftermarket, lucky for my wallet. But the thing is, what got me in there is like, wait a minute, I really like those characters. Like, Wild Bill was cool, but I didn't have the Dragonfly as a kid, so I didn't have that connection with him. But when I started having the Night Force, I'm like, oh, Night Force Crazy Legs, maybe I should get this. Night Force Ripcord, nice. Oh, and I was like, I didn't even know who Glenda was. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool. She's got Flash's laser rifle, so that got me excited. So I'm like, should I bag it? Should I not? But in the end, it was one of those things that actually got me excited, because I was not excited at all for the Dragonfly, but the characters I were, and I ended up buying all the characters first, and then got the Dragonfly later, being like, well, I should have that anyway, because I'm completing all the classified. So that's the thing, is like, if you don't have inspiring tiers, sometimes those people like myself that are kind of like on the fence, it's like, I don't know. I mean, it's not going to be the make or break, because it really was, I didn't want the Dragonflies, so I didn't buy it in the first place. But this one is like one of those things when you're on the ledge, or on the edge, I say, that could like push you over, right? And the thing is, don't get me wrong, that Lady J and the Flint, the Arctic Gear ones, they look really great. And the thing is, they're not just repaints. They're new figures, new molds, new renders, all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of cool. But the thing is, I'm getting a retro Flint later this year. I like literally finally got the Flint I really want, and I've already had a couple other Flints. So you're not giving me something new. You're not giving me something special, right? The Lady J, she looks great. Like that, she looks way better than the Lady J's we've had before, the retro and the classified one. So I'm cool with that. But I think people wanted something different. They wanted somebody new. Like throw in a wind chill, throw in, a whiteout, something like that. A whiteout could be a repaint of the snow job, something, but it's somebody different, something quirky, something that you're never gonna make that in the mainline thing. And we need like those quirky kind of things. Like they were never gonna make a Glenda, right? Like the Night Force stuff, yeah, they had the whole line, so that would have eventually been on a Walmart. Like Crazy Legs would have been on Walmart sometime, right? But Glenda never would have been made. Right, and so you start thinking about these things, like I need these things you're not going to make, like the gunner for the Rattler, you were not going to be making that one, so this is a way we can get it, so something special, something different. And what we really had was very uninspiring, tiers there. Now the the base, I like to call it the Lean 210, that was cool. It was nice to have that place hit, because that's something different. So it's like, hey, that's something different, something special. That's kind of like my international, crazy, quirky kind of thing that could be in there. But honestly, I think they would have been better off making that fourth tier something like, oh, that's kind of cool. Oh, wind chill. Oh, a driver that we're never going to get that machine, so it's kind of a cool thing to add on. So that's what you have to really think about is, hey, we're not getting really anything new. Yes, we're getting Frostbite, which is really great. And honestly, I think that's Lenny. Lenny, is that you? Let me know. Like, give us a wink if that was modeled after you, buddy, because I think that's really cool. But the thing is when people are inspired by those little extra things, they're not inspired to buy. So sometimes it can be like, I'm not sure, but oh, Blizzard? Yes. I mean, Blizzard's too cool. Blizzard's going to be a mainline. That's a deluxe mainline, no doubt. But that's just it. You have to think about that. And that's one of those things. If you look at it in terms of inspiring, I mean, I'm going to talk about this later, like how they could re-inspire the line and get people excited about it. Again, if they announced like a Blizzard or an Iceberg for future releases, it's like, oh, we got more snow characters, Arctic characters coming out next year. I'm going to want to have them for my Snowcat, so I better get my Snowcat now. But the thing is, those uninspiring tiers really does impact it. Not a huge amount, because the base is so good that really takes care of a lot of stuff. But that's another reason why things might not be working out as they had hoped. And then, there is the fact that just in general, the third reason why the Snowcat just is not as popular as the Hiss or the Rattler. Yes, it showed up a lot in the G.I. Joe cartoons. I mean, it's amazing how much they went into snow versus how many people have snow, right? And so, yeah, there is that there. But just in general, the Snowcat wasn't as popular of a vehicle. So therefore, the kind of Joe nostalgia in a lot of us isn't there, because it wasn't their favorite one. For me, it was my favorite one. They announced it, like, cool, I wanted this more than I wanted the Mauler. Like, I'm signed up day one, right? But in general, it's just not as popular. And they probably knew that. That's why the minimum was only 8,000, not like 10,000 or 12,000 to get started, just 8,000, because they know, hey, this is not as popular as a vehicle, so there's that. And then there's the fourth reason, and this is the one that I think really hurt it the most from a marketing perspective, the whole Yo Joe June marketing disaster. And to be frank, it was a disaster. How they handled it, what went down, all these things was very, very done, very poorly. However, I think they did a nice job when they came with the Rattler opening and they did the unboxing for that. That kind of brought back some of the excitement. But in general, what you have to think about is, think about back June 4th, we have the first, fan stream for G.I. Joe June, and Emily's like, we're going to have weekly fan streams with reveals and pre-orders and renders and all this kind of stuff. So everybody gets really buzzed up. But the thing is, you have to remember, for the 6 months before, what have we been hearing? There's no new figures in the stores. There's no new figures coming out. Everything's delayed. Tariffs are coming out. We're moving our production facilities. Be ready for delays. And so everything's kind of like, all those Joe fans, we've been beat down. And then finally, we get good news. And I'll be honest, that June 4th one was a fantastic fan stream. Like, they did a great job getting the hype back up. But we were all getting hyped. And then when Emily comes on at the end and she's like, oh, hey, by the way, there's something really chill out here. It's like, and you're like, oh, it's going to be the Snowcat. And then the excitement, like, really bubbled up again. Like, look, I have goosebumps. Look, goosebumps thinking about this stuff. Like, you're like, yes. And so everybody's pumped. And then the next week comes, like, all right, we're having the June 11th feed. It's coming up. All those pictures started to come out, like, oh, what the pre-orders are going to be. Oh, we're going to see this, this, and this. And then they cancel the fan stream. Oh, no, sorry, postpone the fan stream. The thing was, it has to do with the, you know, how they felt people would react to the police officer, you know, on sale when there was riots going on. And I could understand from a marketing perspective, you don't want, like, you don't want to touch political stuff as a marketer. You want to stay away from that. And that's something they could have dealt with. I mean, those fan streams, they're not live, like, while you watch it. They're like live a few days before. You could have easily cut out that or refilmed it and done it again and on a quick job, because it's not like they're memorizing scripts or anything, right? So you have that. They had like talking points they want to go through. And so I think that would have been a better thing. But the thing was, is they canceled it or postponed it after it had started. And most people are watching this stuff on YouTube, and they posted on an Instagram story. Like, how did people find out? They found out in the Facebook groups and other places, were like, what's going on? And I remember I was on there, and they had like the Transformers cartoon was live feeding at that time, and all these commenters are coming up going, where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? And so that could be kind of a hurtful thing. And so that brought it down. And then the fact that they did not communicate. That is a big thing. I will tell you, that is one of the biggest marketing mistakes businesses make. When there's a tragedy, when there's, you know, controversy, when there's issues out there, when something's not working, when you close up and you ghost your clients, all they do is assume the worst. The thing is, yes, it's bad news how you want to do it. I don't know how people are going to deal with it, but you want to be transparent. You want to be communicative. And we all know Hasbro has not always been the best at communication and transparency, but I think the lack of any news for people that were so passionate about it really hurt people. You know, and it was one of those like very disappointing things. And the thing is, they could have had a post like, hey, due to things here, we're going to hold off on this for now, but we'll be back to you. I mean, just a nice post kind of thing, a little like short video kind of thing would have been nice. And be like, hey, but we are going to have these pre-orders coming out. And then they would have had that, because the pre-orders still went out. So they still were making their money, but they could have done a better job. And then I think following up the next week with the Skybound comic one, and that looked like it was filmed like long ago. Like, it didn't seem like it fit with the Yojo June theme. I mean, probably was, but like you look at it, it's like, wait, this doesn't fit. And then you give us a render of the Night Force Beachhead and Quick Hit, a render. We've already seen them in person at New York Toy Fair, right? So you're like, wait a minute, you're kind of going backwards here. So it's kind of like a disappointing kind of thing there, and that kind of turned some other people off, you know? So they had some issues. And I think at that time, the marketing team at Hasbro realized they'd messed up, because you notice when we came back the next week, they had the Rattler unboxing, and it was like a legit Rattler unboxing. And so they went through, and you got to see the energy again. Emily was on her point, you know, and Lenny, I got to give it. Lenny, you can see the man cares about G.I. Joe. He cares about the fans. He cares about making good stuff. And I know he said he doesn't really make the vehicles so much. He focuses more on the characters things, but he did a fantastic job. And I could feel his love, and I could feel his frustration. I could feel his like true enjoyment of putting together that Rattler. And that was really cool. And that got the buzz up again. You know, and then, you know, and that really kind of helped. And I think what they did really good is, instead of waiting another week to that next Tuesday, which would have been in July, like, hey, look, we're going to announce the Haslab in Yojo June. So they had their 4 feeds in June, right? And theoretically, it was weekly, and they just missed 1 week. But the thing is, when they came out with the announcement, and they brought that out, they did a very good job. Like, they did the best they could. But the problem is, with all that animosity that was built, all that mistrust, all that lack of communication, it's like in a relationship. If your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, your partner isn't talking to you, you know there's an issue, right? And so they weren't talking to us. So what's the issue? What's the issue? I want to know what happened. And that really hurt the buzz. And the thing is, if we would have had a consistent fan streams, consistency with those you know, those fan streams during Yojo June, the buzz going into when the Snowcat release would have been a lot higher. I mean, think about it. If you're watching the World Cup, right? You're like, on a normal day, you're not buying a $150 USA jersey or Germany jersey or Brazil jersey. No, what you're doing is you're buying it when, oh, the US made it to quarterfinals, Germany's in the semifinals, I gotta get the jersey, I gotta get it. And you build up that excitement, and then people want to get it. And that's what we had. Like June 4th, people were like pumped, like, yes! Like, I mean, I made tons of videos out there. What could it be? What could the Snowcat be? Who could the figures be? La 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 la. So all this buzz is going, and it was completely killed. Completely killed. You know, it's like all the momentum is gone. And I ask you, how many of you have ever been running up a hill and then you stop? And then you try to start going again? It's hard getting those first few kind of steps in, right? And that really is where they're at. Like they'd started the campaign with zero momentum. If they just would have had a little momentum, a little bit more momentum, probably could have gotten another couple thousand. We'd probably already be funded after 10 days or so. But honestly, that the Yojo, those missteps, all that killed buzz that happened really, really hurt. And the thing is, if we look at these mistakes, what they did, and I mean, some are their mistakes, some are out of their control, but these are kind of the things you look at and say, okay, that's what happened. That's probably why we're wondering, hey, is it going to fund? Yes, it's going to fund. I've looked at, it's Geek Dad Life. It's got a great Haslab tracker, and it shows like how far down below the how far down below the Snowcat is. But you'll notice there's always a big jump at the end, and that's it. You're going to have the jump here. Even the worst case scenario, you'll probably still sell 3,000 or 4,000 in the last day or two, which would take us from now to like the 10,000 thing. So you got your tent, you got that at least, right? And that's if nobody buys anything between then and then. I think that's why I think it's important for Hasbro to do some things. Like there's some things they can do. And this is like, if I'm looking at this from a marketing perspective, here's some things I think will be important to know. One, realize and reaffirm that it will be funded, because I think once it's funded, more people feel better about doing it. Because like if it's not going to fund, I don't want to take the chance, And I know there's some people like, look, I want to get the Biovac. I want to get the tent. That's important to me. So I'm going to wait until it gets close to there, and then I'll back it. Because if it's not going to be there, I don't want to back it without it. So putting the confidence into people that, yes, it will back, I think that's going to give it a boost. Another thing I think is a really important thing, since Yojo June kind of was Yojo flat for a while there, they have and use San Diego Comic-Con as a way to relaunch the Haslab campaign. How do you do that? Well, all those renders and name reveals we were supposed to be getting during Yojo June that we didn't get, that's where you bring it out. Maybe your show Flash, or no, announce Flash in wetsuit if they're going to be in the next couple of things. Have a render of the Night Viper, or have a Night Viper in hand. That's going to get people kind of excited, right? That's going to help out. But also reveals in terms of name reveals, like, oh, hey, coming in 2026, Blizzard. Oh, Iceberg. And the Snow Cobra attack vehicle. Oh, then it's like, well, if all that stuff's coming out, I need to have a Snowcat so I can make my dioramas, I can play with them in the snow, I can be together with them, those kind of things. Like that will really get some excitement going. Also, another thing they need to do when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con, that San Diego Comic-Con exclusive Cold Slither, you have to make it so fans can actually get it. Because here's the thing. There's been a lot of upset fans, like going back to the bad news stuff, is, hey, how many of you couldn't get that crystal ball? How many of you didn't get the divers, right? Like these kind of things people get really upset by. And then it's like, now I got to get scalpers. Like you sold to the scalpers, but you wouldn't sell to normal fans. Like I only want one. I don't want 6, right? And so that's one of those things. So they got to make sure the San Diego Comic-Con, like that Cold Slither, sell it so it's limit 1 or limit 2. That's it. And so it gives more of a chance for those leftovers from San Diego Comic-Con to be sold to the fans, to have like kind of like a goodwill gesture. Because I honestly don't think the Cold Slither one's going to sell like the other things, like, the Once a Man Cobra Commander and things, because it's one, it's going to be a lot more expensive, and two, it's very much a niche thing. Like I'm a Dreadnought guy, so I'm getting it. I mean, I'll even pay the scalper prices, sadly, for it, but it's one of those things they could do, okay? Now, and I think with doing that, I mean, because that's about 2 weeks before the campaign ends, that will definitely reinvigorate it quicker. I'm fully expecting to see a bump in sales when it comes to San Diego Comic-Con. So they're going to have it displayed out there so people can kind of see what they're going to get, and that's going to get people buzzed out because they're going to see the videos, the YouTube stuff, and things like this. Now, another thing they can do, the third thing they can do, well, I guess there's other things they can do, I've added a few on here, is add or alter the tiers. Remember the Hiss tank wasn't doing as great. I mean, it did great at first and kind of tapered off. They tried to re-inspire it, and that's when they announced Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander, like something quirky, something different, retro carded as well. Boom, yes, let's do it. I want something like that. Maybe they add in a cool character, like maybe they have a alternate version of somebody, something in there that really can be inspiring. Because remember, we don't have anything that's really inspiring in those tiers. Have that inspiring 4th tier, and you're not making it at 20K. You make it at 16K. Okay, the 16K, we might be able to get that. Or instead of making it 60K, maybe you switch something out. Maybe you take out Flint and you put something in there to make it more inspiring so people actually want to buy, right? So you kind of think about those things. But I don't think they would do that where they would switch one out, because right now, looking at it with like forecasting, if you look at the numbers, you're going to end up right around that 14,000. So there's like, well, why should I switch that out if it might get it anyway? Let's put it to 16 so maybe we can get a couple thousand extra sales. And I think that might help them out there. And then another thing I think Hasbro can do to really help improve the Haslab experience and the Snowcat sales, but overall the overall experience for all these fans that are out there with their big classified people like myself. Like I collect the Real American Hero version and the classified version. I love them both, right? And I appreciate what Hasbro's done for my childhood and my adulthood. It's been a fun thing to have these toys and have all these figures and vehicles and stuff. But I think one of the things they really need to do, they want to improve what's going on and be more successful in future Haslabs and other things. Communicate better. Communication is key in all relationships, whether you're a brand communicating with your customers, or if you're a husband communicating with your wife, or a boyfriend and their girlfriend or their partner or whatever. Communication is key. And so if Hasbro can be more communicative, let us know, hey, when are these things really coming? Because I just got a notification in the mail today that, oh, Crystal Ball's on the way. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, cool. I wasn't sure when that was actually going to come, and now it's there. Or, it's like, when are the Rattlers really going out? Because some people have had them for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, I have no idea when it's going to be there, so who knows? But the communication thing really can go a long way. But I just want to tell you, if you're worried about the Snowcat not funding, you shouldn't worry. I'm sure by the end of this week, or this coming weekend, it will fund right there, and then probably get to another tier by the time you get to San Diego Comic-Con. Maybe we're close to Lady J. After San Diego Comic-Con, if they do a really exciting kind of thing, I think you could be seeing Flint as a definite certainty versus I'm worried about if you even get to the tent kind of stuff. So something to kind of think about it. Anyway, I just want to kind of give you my perspective on this because I'm a marketing professor in my day job, and so this is one of those things I kind of take personally when I see these kind of hiccups that happen when really great products sometimes don't succeed as well as they should, because Hasbro did do some classic mistakes when it came to this Haslab layout and rollout and everything. So I hope this can help you. And what do you think the reason is why the Snowcat's behind in the numbers? Let us know in the comments below, and also let us know, did you get a Snowcat? Because I got one first day, so I'm cool with it. And if it doesn't get the tiers, I'm still cool with it too. I love the Snowcat, so I'm fine. And Frostbite is really cool. Oh, and that could be something they could communicate. Maybe have Lenny come on and confirm or deny the rumors that he is the face sculpt for Frostbite. Anyway, I wish y'all the best. I'll say bye, and happy collecting.